Okay, this is Mrs. Kuiper, and this is the lab for lesson 4.8 solutions. And you can see I've put on my protective apron here so I don't spill, and I'm going to put on my splash shield here. Usually just a pair of goggles or something that's going to cover your eyes would be great. I could also wear a mask if I needed to, but I think I'm going to be okay. So what we're doing is we're starting out making a prediction, and the prediction is which of four substances, when mixed with water, which is the solvent, will dissolve completely. So let me turn my camera here and move it to where you all can see. Okay. Okay. So as you can see, we have four substances that we're going to be testing. One is going to be salt. One is going to be sand, and this is just play sand I got from a bag of sand at home. One is going to be lemon juice, lemon concentrate actually, and the last is going to be vegetable oil. Okay, so I would like you to click, go out to our Google Classroom and click into the Google form, and the first thing it wants you to do is make a prediction. Do you think when salt is mixed with water, it will dissolve completely and create a solution? Remember, a solution is created if you add the solute, which is the salt in this case, to a liquid or solvent, which is the water. If it becomes a solution, if it dissolves completely, it becomes a solution. And so basically the salt is connecting to the water molecules and they're becoming one together, okay? And so the salt would be spread evenly out within the solution itself. Now, if it didn't dissolve and we saw it either float around in there or drop to the bottom, that would be considered a mixture, not a solution. So which of these solutes, salt, sand, lemon juice, and vegetable oil, do you think are going to be solutions when mixed with water or mixtures when mixed with water? So I'm going to go ahead and kind of start the experiment here, and I'm going to pause frequently because we're going to make sure that you have the option here to stop and write in that form. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to add one teaspoon of the salt. So let me bring that up here so you guys can, whoops, wrong one, salt. There we go. So I'm going to add it. Just a little bit more so you guys can see that better. And I'm going to stir. So I think the directions say to stir for 1 to 2 minutes. So I'm just going to continue to stir this, okay, and make sure that it's mixed up really good. Remember, we watched a little video where they talked about there are ways to increase dissolving. And one of those things that can increase how fast solute is dissolved is heat. If we were to have hot water here, it would dissolve much, much quicker if it is going to dissolve at all. So let's see. See if I have any left in there if I need to. Okay. Nope, I need to stir a little bit more. Okay. That was only about a minute, so we're going to keep stirring. So if it dissolves completely, that means it will, once we stop stirring, that we're going to have a clear solution. And clear means a solution that we could actually see through. Okay, so I'm going to put the spoon back here, and I'm going to hold that up. And as you can see, it's clear. All right, so the salt then dissolved into the water and became a solution. It became kind of one with the water, so that if I were to pour that water out, there would be an equal amount of salt in every teaspoon or cup or partial cup that I poured out. Okay, the second one we are going to test is going to be sand. So this is play sand that I got outside. So it's still a little bit wet, but I'm going to get a good teaspoon. And I'm going to put the sand in there, and I'm going to stir it up. Same thing we did with the salt. I'm going to stir it really good. And then I'm going to stop stirring and wait for it to settle. So if you didn't have sand and you wanted to try this at home with your parents' permission, you could always maybe try some dirt from outside. Now I'm going to wait for that to settle. Okay, and so as you can see, it's not very clear anymore. And look, there's parts that are down here on the bottom that have sunk to the bottom. Okay, so I would say this is a mixture, not a solution. So the sand created a mixture, not a solution. A mixture is when components are mixed together, they're mixed together, but you can separate them out. If I were to pour this through a filter, the sand would stay on the filter and the water would go through. And so this is a mixture because we could easily separate out the sand from the water. All right, so we're going to move that one off to the side here. All right, so the next one we're going to do, that was the salt. Oh, okay, here's the lemon juice. All right, here's the lemon juice. And I am going to open this and squirt about a teaspoon, or drip about a teaspoon. There we go. Put the lid back on. And we're stirring. Stirring. Now solutions, if we have a solution, there is a way that you can actually separate the components of solutions, but it usually takes a different process than a simple filtration process. Usually it takes heating up, so you evaporate all the liquid off, all the water off, the solvent, and then you're left with just the solute at the bottom, which is usually some form of a dry powder. I'm already making a mess. I'm spilling this all over the paper towel here. Okay, all right. So we're going to call that a good stir. And other than the bubbles that I've stirred up in there, you can see that it's pretty clear. So the lemon juice has created a solution. It is bonded with water in there, and it's all part of the same liquid now. All right, so the last one we're going to test is oil. And this is just plain vegetable oil that I had in my house. And if you're doing this at home, you may not be able to do lemon juice, okay, or sand. Those are the ones that I think people are less likely to have in their house. Almost everybody has salt and sugar sometimes. And most people have some kind of an oil. One thing you could do if you didn't have cooking oil is you could take a teaspoon of butter and melt it in the microwave and pour it in some water and stir. You could also use some lard, which is usually a solid white type of oil, and you could put that in the microwave, make sure you cover it, and just melt it for 10 or 15 seconds and then pour it in and stir. Okay. So those would both be good alternatives. For the lemon juice, a good alternative for the lemon juice might be vinegar. A lot of people have apple cider vinegar or clear vinegar in their houses because they actually will use that for cleaning. So I would say if you have white vinegar or like distilled vinegar or apple cider vinegar, you could give it a try. It would still be considered an acid. Okay, so as this is stopping, and I know that you aren't able to see it very well, but the oil is collecting on the top of the water. And so I'm going to move my camera here so you guys can see that. So you can kind of see the oil is on the sides of the glass, and it's laying up there on the top of the water. So because it didn't mix and dissolve completely, this would be considered a mixture and not a solution. Okay, so the oil is a mixture. The lemon juice was a solution. The salt was a solution. And the sand was a mixture. As it kind of sits, it slowly is falling out onto the bottom of that jar. Okay, so now you have the information to fill out our lab for lesson 4.8. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and then let you get to filling out your lab.